What is going on, FUD Nation? Now, welcome back. It's Elio Trades here, and if you're expecting that you're going to get a funny episode filled with memes and jokes, all I have to say to you is... No! That's right. I'm using a meme to tell you that I won't be memeing. Well, at least I don't meme to meme. The point is, we're having a very tough time here in crypto land, and so I don't want you guys to think that I'm just making fun while everyone is truly suffering. Because even if you're keeping up a strong face right now, I know a lot of people feel a little bit more like this. FUD. Fear, uncertainty, and doubt. It's the reason why we created this channel. If everyone was super confident, you wouldn't need to have me come and talk to you about crypto every week. If everybody knew everything and everyone was a genius, you wouldn't need someone to come and break down events within this market to you. The reason why we created this channel is because of the FUD, because we wanted to give you tools to deal with the FUD. Now, of course, this isn't financial advice and all that jazz. This is just our opinions, but we do spend pretty much all day studying these markets, comparing them to other markets, comparing them to other market cycles, and we try to come out with what we think are, I guess, level-headed views on what's happening in cryptocurrency. Now, one of the things we have to talk about is Ethereum, because Ethereum right now is showing signs of being in something called capitulation. And I apologize in advance, this is not going to be a great segment. According to Investopedia, capitulation is when investors give up any previous gains in stock prices by selling equities to get out of the market. Capitulation involves extremely high volume and sharp declines. It also usually involves panic selling. The term is derived from a military term which refers to a surrender. One of the things I want to point out here is in the Investopedia article, they show here, in order to really identify the end of a capitulation cycle, you want to see what's called a hammer candle, where you see a sort of little chubby candle on top with a big wick below it, which indicates that in that time period, the price went down significantly and popped back up. That would mean that we've sort of hit a bottom where the price is really rebounding. Now, if we go to the Ethereum charts, especially on the day chart, there's no such wick visible. In fact, there's a much bigger candle than there is a wick. And if we zoom out a little bit and we look on the day charts for sort of levels of support here, we see that since Ethereum broke this level of support that was established in the sort of beginning of April, it's really had a dramatic fall. It really started falling almost without pause since it broke that sort of $350 mark. And this line of support is just under $200. And then we have another line of support sort of in the 130 range. A lot of people would have shuddered to think that Ethereum could fall so far. But remember, Ethereum, as promising as all of its technology is, as much sort of usage as it's gotten, has actually been dealt kind of a rough hand of late. You have to remember, Ethereum is still an altcoin. It was the first ICO, even though people don't think of it as that. And a lot of the big coins, a lot of the big promising projects have since moved off it. VeChain has their own mainnet. Tron has its own mainnet. EOS has its own mainnet. Icon has its own mainnet. And all of this has happened within the last few months. A lot of the transaction volume was coming from those sort of ERC20 transactions. So what I'm trying to say is that right now, Ethereum and sort of the hope and the dreams for Ethereum, while they're still alive, there are definitely some trials ahead for this coin. And not surprisingly, if you were an ICO that raised on Ethereum anytime in 2018, you more than likely picked up Ethereum at something way more than it's valued at now. So say you originally thought you needed $10 million to accomplish your goals. Now you might have 8 or 6, 5, or even less. Seeing that number drastically slip away day over day, where maybe a few days ago when Ethereum was back at 490 or 500, just literally a few days ago, your company would have had a few more months, maybe even a year extra of runway. Now you're seeing time shrink away and you have to make that difficult decision. Do I sell? Do I get out? Do I protect the dream that I sold my ICO investors? These are all difficult decisions, but potentially this is what's causing the capitulation cycle within Ethereum. And we won't know when that cycle's over until we see some real bounce back on the charts, which we, as of current, have not seen. Now, it's worth mentioning that a lot of this sort of doubt cycle was spurred on by Rand Nooner, who said he spent the morning with an ICO that raised 30 million, and that, it was raised in ETH at 1,200, and now they have $4 million left, which is a crazy, devastating blow. Obviously, if you originally thought you needed 30 million and you raised sometime during this year, and now you have 4 million, that's just insane. And so they panic sold. Obviously, this has sort of been debunked, as some people are saying that this isn't fact-driven, and ShipChain is one of the only coins that actually raised that much and said it wasn't them, and CP Chain and Restart Energy, we're not sure about them. So it's hard to say whether this is actually fully fact-based, what Brand Nooner was saying. But regardless, what we know for sure is that it doesn't take a rocket scientist to assume that if you saw your company's runway shrinking dramatically, you could see it as being a fairly logical decision to make the tough choice and sell what remaining ETH you have and at least guarantee yourself whatever shot that would guarantee you. There's a lot of the analogies to the 2001 stock market bubble with the internet bubble, which of course was $7 trillion. Again, we had a max total of $850 billion or $830 billion of market cap. That, if you really take it into account, is really anywhere between 25 and 50 times more than actual capital that's been invested. You can think of the market cap as, if you divide it by 50, is something like 17 billion with 850 billion. So I know that's weird and rough math, but let's just say there was even $100 billion, which there wasn't, in the cryptocurrency market of real capital. That's still 1/70th of the dot-com bubble. So just remember, the total addressable market here is huge. The amount of capital that could be in this market is huge. And when compared to the dot-com bubble, it's still minuscule. Regardless, you could compare this to, you know, that kind of winter that you saw, but that lasted 10 years to recoup those prices for Amazon. And to be honest, for cryptocurrency, I certainly don't think it'll last 10 years, but it could last quite a while before we get back up to the prices that we were seeing in January. So just don't get too far ahead of yourselves. Just be careful. Be careful out there, because things are looking very topsy-turvy and there's not really any signs of stability in the very near future. We need Bitcoin to stabilize and start going and making, you know, month-over-month growth, not just 1 month of growth, but, you know, multiple months of growth before it starts to show signs that the altcoin market could return to where it was. Finally, and ever so briefly, I want to talk about TronChat, which is a new DApp which we have developed internally here on the FUD team. And we saw an opportunity here to not just talk about, not just spread good information about, not just invest in a coin and an infrastructure project that we think is promising, but we actually saw an opportunity to contribute to people adopting this infrastructure project and this cryptocurrency. And that's why we made the decision. We talked a lot about it. We made the decision. We're not going to make our own coin. We're not just going to try to do an ICO and take in as much money as possible. We've started building this app, completely self-funded it up until this point. We've got tons of code already written, tons of the modules built out. We're going to be doing a deep dive on this app and everything that's involved in our DApp and how we built it and what stage we're at, and really field all the questions from the community, from you guys, in the very near future. And then we're also going to do a live Q&A session. I hope you guys enjoy what we've created here, and it means the world to have your support. So if you do have any questions about TronChat, ask in the comments section below. We're going to field all those questions in a deep dive video, and we're going to do a live stream where we answer all your questions live. I'm sorry I couldn't make it too funny today. I just felt like making too much fun of what's going on right now wouldn't be appropriate, even though I kind of make fun of everything. But I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. I hope you guys enjoyed the project we're working on, and I hope to see you guys very soon on the next episode of FUD TV. Thanks.